Imagine a world where every moment of your day is centered around the pursuit of pleasure, a world filled with distractions and indulgences designed to satisfy your every craving instantly, effortlessly, endlessly. Sounds ideal, right? But what if that same chase for happiness is the very thing robbing us of our freedom? What if the cost of constant gratification isn't liberation, but a quiet kind of enslavement? That's the journey we're about to take, one that explores the hidden cost of living in a world that promises comfort, ease, and entertainment at every turn. Inspired by the haunting insights of Aldous Huxley and supported by modern psychology, we'll uncover how the pursuit of pleasure, when unchecked, can become a trap that numbs our minds, drains our energy, and keeps us obedient in ways we barely notice. From timeless philosophy to cutting-edge neuroscience, we'll expose the systems and behaviors that profit from our cravings. And by the end, you'll be challenged to look at your own habits and ask, are you truly free? Or have you unknowingly become a consumer in a world built to keep you distracted? This won't be easy, but it could change everything. Because somewhere within this journey lies the most important truth of all, one that may forever shift the way you see pleasure, purpose, and your place in the modern world. So let's begin. Before we start, help us hit the 5,000 subscribers. Smash the like and subscribe buttons for more content like this. In 1932, Aldous Huxley published Brave New World, a novel that seemed like science fiction at the time, but today feels disturbingly real. Huxley imagined a future where humanity had surrendered its autonomy, not through war or tyranny, but through the seductive power of pleasure. In this world, there are no chains, no prisons. People aren't forced into submission. They're pacified by a drug called soma, a substance that eliminates discomfort and ensures a constant, shallow state of happiness. There's no pain, no conflict, no meaningful struggle, just comfort. And that's the danger. Huxley argued that the most effective form of control isn't fear, it's satisfaction. When people are kept just happy enough, they stop questioning, they stop resisting, they stop thinking for themselves. In this version of the future, people don't rise up because they have no reason to. Their lives are empty, but they don't realize it because they're constantly entertained, numbed, and soothed. Now look around at the world we live in today. The endless scroll of social media, the constant ping of notifications, on-demand shows, instant delivery, curated ads, feel-good content designed to hit our pleasure centers just right. Aren't we being offered our own modern version of soma? We're not living in Huxley's world exactly, but the blueprint is there. We're slowly trading challenge for convenience, reflection for distraction, depth for dopamine. And the scariest part, most of us don't even notice it's happening. That's what makes it so dangerous. What if our craving for pleasure isn't entirely our fault? What if it's hardwired into our brains? Modern psychology and neuroscience reveal just how deeply our biology is involved in the pursuit of happiness. Every time we experience something enjoyable, getting likes on social media, tasting a delicious meal, hearing a notification ding, our brain releases dopamine. It's a chemical reward, a little burst of satisfaction that reinforces the behavior. But here's the catch. It's not always the pleasure itself that triggers the most dopamine. It's the anticipation of pleasure. That's why we keep checking our phones, refreshing feeds, or reaching for another episode. It's not about enjoyment. It's about the possibility of enjoyment. This creates a loop, a cycle of wanting, chasing, briefly feeling good, and then wanting again, over and over. That's the core of addiction, not always substance addiction, but behavioral addiction, digital addiction, lifestyle addiction. Psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi introduced the concept of flow, those moments where we're fully immersed in an activity, where time disappears and we feel totally engaged. Technology can sometimes trigger this state, but more often it traps us in something else entirely. Mindless scrolling, shallow clicks, and low-effort dopamine hits that feel engaging but actually leave us feeling more empty than before. And then there's the hedonic treadmill. It describes how quickly we adapt to pleasure. That new car, that vacation, that surge of happiness, it fades fast. We return to our baseline, so we chase the next high, and the next, and the next. Soon, we're not pursuing joy. We're running from emptiness. Aldous Huxley warned us about this, that a society driven by pleasure would become a society of prisoners, chained not by force, but by desire. And today, with every algorithm designed to feed us more of what we crave, we're living in a system that's engineered to keep us running on that treadmill, forever wanting, never arriving. Pleasure is no longer just a feeling, it's a trap. Welcome to the new marketplace, where the currency isn't money, but your attention. In today's digital world, every moment you spend watching, clicking, scrolling, or reacting is being tracked, measured, and sold. Tech companies don't just compete for your dollars, they compete for your focus. Because if they can keep your eyes glued to the screen, they profit. This is the attention economy, and it thrives on your addiction to pleasure. Platforms like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and even news apps are carefully engineered to deliver what's called intermittent variable rewards. It's a psychological trick borrowed straight from slot machines. You don't know exactly when you'll see something exciting or rewarding, but the uncertainty makes it irresistible. It keeps you coming back for more. That quick check of your phone, that urge to scroll when you're bored, that reflex to open an app without even thinking. It's not an accident, it's a design. Tristan Harris, a former Google design ethicist, exposed how these platforms are built to exploit human vulnerabilities. Every notification, every sound, every visual cue is crafted to manipulate your behavior, not for your benefit, for theirs. And yet, we willingly participate. We spend hours locked in digital spaces that promise pleasure, but often leave us feeling drained, anxious, or empty. Studies have shown that increased screen time, especially on social media, is strongly linked to rising levels of depression and anxiety. But why do we keep coming back? Because these platforms don't just offer content. They offer the illusion of connection, the thrill of newness, the promise of distraction, and above all, a break from discomfort. Just like Huxley's Soma, our digital world pacifies us, not with chemicals, but with convenience. And here's the dangerous part. The more we depend on these digital pleasures, the more we surrender control. We stop choosing what we consume and start being fed what keeps us hooked. Our focus, our time, our energy, all of it becomes a product. In this system, we're not the customer, we're the commodity. The pursuit of constant pleasure doesn't just distract us, it damages us. As our lives become more wrapped in digital convenience and instant gratification, mental health is paying the price. A 2020 study published in the Journal of Affective Disorders found a strong link between excessive screen time, especially on social media, and higher levels of anxiety and depression. The very tools we use to feel good are making us feel worse. Why? Because we're not just overstimulated, we're disconnected. We're flooded with content, yet starved for meaning. Every time we feel low, we reach for a screen, but instead of healing the root, we numb the symptom. And the more we numb, the more disconnected we become. From ourselves, from others, from reality. This cycle feeds itself. The worse we feel, the more we chase pleasure to fix it. But the pleasure is shallow. It fades fast. And so we dive back in, scrolling, clicking, consuming, always hoping the next thing will make us feel whole. It never does. And the damage goes beyond the individual. As more people choose easy over effort, surface over substance, our culture begins to reflect that decay. We stop valuing patience, effort, or mastery. We idolize speed, convenience, and appearance. Deep conversation gets replaced by DMS. Quiet moments are filled with noise. Purpose is traded for performance. A society built on distraction can't thrive. It can only consume. More content, more products, more pleasure. But never enough meaning. This is how pleasure, once a reward, becomes a trap. And the cost isn't just your peace of mind, it's your humanity. Long before the digital age, some of history's most insightful thinkers warned us about the emptiness that comes from chasing pleasure alone. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and the author of Man's Search for Meaning, believed that true fulfillment doesn't come from happiness, but from purpose. He wrote that when a person cannot find meaning in life, they distract themselves with pleasure. But this only deepens the void. Frankl's message was clear. Happiness cannot be pursued. It must ensue from living with direction, with responsibility, with something greater than oneself. Erich Fromm echoed this in To Have or To Be. He argued that modern society is obsessed with possession, owning things, controlling outcomes, collecting experiences. But in doing so, we've lost the art of simply being, present, grounded, connected. When we define ourselves by what we consume rather than who we are, we live shallow lives. We mistake comfort for contentment. Fromm believed that real joy comes from connection, growth, and contribution, not consumption. Søren Kierkegaard, the Danish philosopher, went even deeper. He warned of the despair of the aesthetic life, a life built around beauty, entertainment, and distraction. On the surface, this life looks enjoyable, but underneath it hides an anxiety born of meaninglessness. According to Kierkegaard, the way out of despair is not more pleasure, but a leap into the ethical life, a life guided by responsibility, truth, and personal commitment. These thinkers, separated by time and background, arrived at the same conclusion. A life devoted to pleasure alone is not a life at all. It's a performance, a cycle, a shell. And if we're not careful, we can spend our entire lives chasing moments that were never meant to satisfy us in the first place. Because lasting fulfillment doesn't come from escaping reality. It comes from engaging with it. These ideas might feel abstract, even philosophical, but they show up in the smallest parts of your day. Every choice you make is a vote for the kind of life you're building. Should you binge another episode, or call a friend you've been meaning to reconnect with? Should you scroll endlessly, or pick up that book you've been avoiding? Should you chase a moment of comfort, or lean into something that challenges you to grow? These questions may seem small, but over time, they add up. They form habits, and those habits shape who you become. The truth is, we often don't realize we're choosing pleasure over purpose. It happens gradually, invisibly. We tell ourselves we'll get to the important stuff later, after this show, after this scroll, after this week. But later turns into months, years, a life. Aldous Huxley once said, "Most human beings have an almost infinite capacity for taking things for granted. And in our pursuit of constant pleasure, we risk taking for granted the deeper joys of life, authentic relationships, meaningful work, creativity, self-discovery, and contribution." This moment, right now, is your invitation to pause and ask, am I living by design or by default? Have I chosen a path of purpose or simply followed the one of least resistance? The answers won't come easy, but asking the questions is how you start to change. If pleasure has become the chain, then discipline is the key. It might sound backward, discipline as freedom, but that's exactly the paradox. Real freedom isn't doing whatever you want in the moment. It's having the strength to choose what truly matters, even when it's hard. Philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." When you live with purpose, the distractions lose their power. The cravings quiet down. You stop chasing every fleeting thrill because you found something deeper to anchor yourself to. Author Jocko Willink put it simply, discipline equals freedom. Not because it restricts you, but because it frees you from the pull of impulse. Every time you choose to turn off the noise, to sit with your thoughts, to build something meaningful instead of consuming something shallow, you're taking your power back. Start small. Wake up 10 minutes earlier to reflect. Turn off notifications. Say no to one thing that wastes your time. Choose discomfort when it serves your growth. These aren't grand gestures, but in a world engineered for distraction, they're acts of rebellion. Each small decision becomes a brick. And brick by brick, you build a life you actually want to live. Not one that's been designed for you by an algorithm. You don't need to escape the world to be free. You just need to stop being ruled by it.